Hello, everybody. Welcome to Heal Yourself Naturally. I am Sara Kender, and this is Hava. And we all the herbalists that are going to be talking about thyroid today, everything about thyroid. So we have been taking a trip down the body, starting at the head. And we've done several videos so far, starting at the head, talking about the hair, talking about the eyes, the ears. And we are at the neck, and we are going to talk about thyroid today. It is a
Eh,
hot topic for me. I don't know about you, Hava, but I see a lot of people with thyroid problems,
Absolutely.
and I see a lot of the medical model kind of. I feel like it's a fight to get full thyroid panels and the testing that's needed in order to really see what's going on in there and why people are still tired when they're on their medicine. So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a whole huge topic. And we're going to do our best to make it as concise and easy to follow as we can. Of course, we'll take your questions after. And if we're on Facebook and people have questions, I'll go through them, or one of us will go through them and answer them after. So why don't you
Sarah,
start?
I was thinking maybe we should also address all the news that we see about the Tylenol and stuff by the end, not
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, that's a great thing to talk about too. We can start it off that way. Of course, I've been posting on that. So, so we can't say the words because if we do, then we won't be able to go on YouTube. We've already gotten a couple of our videos taken down because of medical misinformation, because we can't intervene in our bodily functions and say certain words, but
Yes.
But RFK Jr. and the people at the CDC and the NIH went on and did I guess you would call it a public announcement regarding Tylenol and autism and how it can increase it can actually, after a child gets they get their childhood visit, to the pediatrician, and then they do the things there
Yeah.
and in the arms.
And legs,
I feel like we should have sign language.
arms
And the
and legs.
legs.
And
And then the doctor says, "Oh, okay, if there's any inflammation or there's any fever, then give them some Tylenol." And we know that that's associated with a later on in life a diagnosis with autism. So, why don't you tell us what you know, Hava, about
well, mm, I was actually very interested about to hear the coloration. I never thought about that Tylenol is the issue. I mean, I would say that I'm thinking a little bit outside of the box. I'm trying to figure out why the Tylenol is to blame, but maybe the idea is from maybe I'm mistaken. I don't know, but what I feel is that when they give whatever they give to the child, then the immune system reacts in a certain way. And then the body says, okay, there is something that's been given, unfortunately, straight to the blood, let's say. And then the body, I would say, is not stupid and will do some sort of, will have some sort of a side, will recreate some sort of a, how I would say, I don't know even how to describe it.
a
It's in my
reaction?
mind, but yeah, some sort of a reaction to fight it.
Yep.
The fight, whatever the invader do, even though it's straight into the goes into the blood, and it's for the body, it's kind of hard. And usually, when you swallow something, the body has more chances. It goes through the throat. We have tonsils and blah 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 blah. It
Right,
goes through
right.
the immune system. Here is straight to the blood, but I do still feel the body is pretty intelligent to know that something happened, even though they might say, oh, that's an immune reaction. It doesn't matter whatever it's called. Again, it doesn't matter. The idea is as soon probably the fever comes up, it's a part of the body's fighting whatever the invader came in. And the problem is that we've been trained once soon the fever goes higher, we need to reduce the fever because we train to see as a fever as our enemy.
Yeah.
And I think by giving this Tylenol, we basically may be cutting off the immune's job, which is to fight and remove whatever the toxin. So it's probably stops from buying from the body to do this detoxification process. That's kind of what I feel it what is doing.
Yeah.
And in many cases, I feel, obviously not everyone, because we see many children that are not being harmed by arms and legs.
The things.
So, right. So maybe that's because either immune system is very strong, or the microbiome is very strong, or I would say maybe they didn't give something to suppress the symptoms. And that's why maybe many children are kind of maybe been affected, but not in a severe way. So so yeah, that's what I think. Like my overall thought is by giving something that suppresses the immune system, basic call to wake up and do its job, then when the problem goes higher and then causes inflammation.
Yes.
And that's what I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think we've known for a long time that Tylenol can reduce glutathione in the liver. So
Mhm.
glutathione is that master antioxidant that the liver makes that's very detoxifying to the body. It's very protective. And when Tylenol depletes that, so that leaves people very susceptible if they, have some kind of toxin injected into their bodies, or even, we're faced with toxins all the time. We breathe it in, we eat them, we eat toxins, we breathe toxins in.
Right.
We're exposed to toxins all the time. So glutathione is very important for detoxification. You give a medication that depletes that, and concomitantly or at the same time, the child has this fever and this inflammation caused by the childhood visit to the doctor. You're going to get rid of all that inflammation. You're going to deplete the body of glutathione. That's like a double whammy. That's like all the toxins now have this free reign in the bloodstream. And I've thought about this a lot, actually, Hava, for many years now. And that inflammation is protective. It actually stops a lot of the heavy metals getting into the body further, and especially the brain. But if you give the Tylenol, reduces the inflammation and reduces the body's ability to fight the toxins off, detoxify. So it's kind of a double whammy. And we've always known that for a long time, not always, for what, 20 some odd years, we've known Tylenol does
Yeah,
this.
but I would say it's not only Tylenol. Let's put it this way:
No, it's
all the
not only
medication, the
Tylenol.
suppressor. No, I know. Let's maybe we correct. I want to correct myself to say it's not only the Tylenol, because any medicine that suppresses body's immune, how we say it? Like what happened to me? My brain is like
Well, a
immune.
fever is a reaction to a
Okay,
virus or something in the
anybody's
body, right?
immune
Yeah.
reaction to, yes. Thank
A
you.
fever with inflammation or inflammation in general is a reaction to a toxin or a virus or a bacteria that comes into our body that shouldn't be
Absolutely.
there.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. So we kind of I my people might think that, oh, so I'm not giving my child Tylenol, but I'm gonna buy something now. There's a Geneva and there's other companies on Amazon that are kind of more healthier. It's still the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's in a different kind of a different way, but I would say it's all connected. Once you destroy the main body's system to fight any invader, you basically gonna cause some sort of a problem. So,
Yeah.
and that's what comes listening to your inner voice. And right, okay, continue.
Right.
Sorry.
No, and fevers, like you said, fevers are actually important for the body to fight disease. And you reduce a fever, or even just get rid of a fever, I should say, using medication. that can prolong a sickness. And there's already
Exactly.
studies on that. It prolongs the sickness. But what this announcement was, and the connection was to autism, is that certain susceptible children have detox problems as it is.
Right.
And like you were alluding to, some kids are fine because their detox pathways aren't genetically altered. It's called methylation issue. If the child or a family has methylation issues, they're more susceptible to any damage by any toxin, whether it's ingested or injected. So, Tylenol is just adding insult to injury already, is really
Exactly.
what the announcement was. It wasn't just Tylenol. And we hear in the media now it's Tylenol isn't safe during pregnancy. Well, there was a hell of a lot more that they said on that on Tylenol and autism than Tylenol is bad during pregnancy, which
Yeah,
many
and
years was touted as safe during pregnancy. Many years people were taking that during pregnancy, but
even though I saw the recent text that Tylenol mentioned that we never suggest taking Tylenol while the mother is pregnant, and we
it was I'm pretty sure it was on the label. It says safe during pregnancy, right? I mean, did you know that? Did you always think
I
that?
actually didn't see the bottle of Tylenol for it. I would
I'm
say
just
for
going by
pregnant.
memory because,
I have to go to
yeah.
Ralph and double check what they say because I don't have this medicine. I never used it maybe for 20 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going back at least 20 years. I might have used it once and I'm like, what am I doing? Stop trying to reduce a fever in a child that's not an unsafe fever. If
Right,
it's 102, let it be. If
right.
it's climbing up to 105, then okay, we intervene. But that's why, so on what I posted today, this morning, I made a little ebook. I love these little digital downloads I've been doing, all about how to reduce a fever if it's a child or if it's a grown adult or if it's a grown adult pregnant woman. There are many herbal helpers to help reduce fevers, right? We know that. And
Right,
you would hear them talking the other day when they announced this Tylenol autism link that there's nothing anyone can do for a fever. Like, oh my gosh, what did we ever do before
right,
Tylenol? Oh my God, the fever. It's like
right, right, right,
oftentimes the fevers are not that bad, so just let it ride. They can be uncomfortable, but you should really just let the fever ride. But some wonderful diaphoretics or antipyretics, right, is what we call them. Is what's your favorite, Hava? What do you like to use?
yarrow.
Yarrow, yeah. Now, what do you think about using yarrow during pregnancy? It's
Well, I don't
contraindicated, right?
exactly. So I would not give a yarrow while they're pregnant. What I would do is I would just give a chamomile if the person is not allergic. Some people are allergic, but also I would work with peppermint is good, which is also cooling, and also I would say combination of couple herbs are not like when we speak individual herb, then we put a full, we just depend on this specific herb. But if we do combination, a little bit yarrow, a little bit raspberry, a little bit, a lemon balm, pepper kind of combination, then I'm
Yeah,
not worried about that. Then it's kind of much wholesome state,
yeah,
and every herb takes their own space, and that way it works. So combinations, I really like it when pregnant. But otherwise I would go with like a chamomile, more lemon balm, peppermint, more cooling maybe herbs. And a chamomile is also sweaty herbs, and I would more work by using what's called soak the feet in the hot
yes,
water,
yeah,
cold over the head, maybe cooling a little bit the stomach, I would say, if the person is suffering. And obviously working with the probiotics is something that I'm so much now into it, and learning that 80 more than 80% of our immune system is in our gut. So if we are susceptible and we suddenly get sick, that's because we are lacking a good microbiome. And if we're lacking good microbiome, that means there is not a good guys to fight the bad guys, and that's how we get sick.
yeah.
That's why we see so many children are sick now. It's because their microbiome is so weak.
Weak and not diverse. Yeah,
Exactly. And obviously the crappy diet that doesn't add to it. So that's what we end up.
yeah,
And you know, and if you really close your eyes and you really look at these children who are so suffering and they're autistic, if you go, what are they been eating prior? And you will see the mom probably was not eating correct diet. You know, then probably before either been taking some sort of antibiotics maybe, then we didn't know better, then you know they've been given all these shots, and then children been again exposed to toxins and given toxic food, or many times women don't want to breastfeed, so then they end up, you know, so it's like
yeah.
it's a whole package. It's
It
not
is
just like one
absolutely
one, it's a whole
whole
entire,
thing.
so yes, 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 so that's how I would say it. So
Yeah,
what
I
is
like.
your favorite herbs?
Well, I like catnip.
Catnip.
I like catnip, yarrow, and lemon balm.
Mm-hmm.
Those, yeah, that's what
Those,
I catnip. That's pretty much one of the
yeah,
only ones you didn't mention, I think.
right, I
Um,
didn't mention catnip.
yeah, yeah. There's bone set too, but I don't like to use bone set that often because it's got the paralizidine alkaloids in them, and I don't really want to give that to a kid or a pregnant lady.
I don't. I actually didn't really much use it. Bonset myself.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it's super bitter,
didn't.
and but
Yeah. So I
so
think
anyway.
the one that we mentioned are pretty good. They can drink this. What other things would you suggest? At least we give them some tools, and then we're gonna go. Otherwise, we're gonna end up only talking about the
Yeah,
seniors.
to reduce a fever,
Mm.
well, a cool
Uh,
bath, soak
uh-huh.
your feet. I love the whole idea of soaking your feet. You can do Epsom salts and peppermint oil, a cold cloth. Obviously, drink lots of water. Um, those are the things that the old ways, right, of
Right.
reducing a fever is get your body temperature down by getting in a tepid bath. It's not very comfortable, obviously, when you're sick, but things like that. I mean, that's what I would
Yeah.
suggest people do. There's a
Me.
lot of different, if you don't want to do something internally, you could do it in a foot bath. You could do the lemon balm and catnip and chamomile in a foot bath. Get it through your feet too.
Yeah.
Uh, yep. So, yeah,
Yeah, so that's not to be in fear. That's the only
that's
thing.
right.
I did
Don't
had
be in
someone
fear.
texted me, "Oh, my daughter she's pregnant. She," and also I would say there is a certain timing that our fever might be a little bit dangerous if it's if the woman is in her first trimester,
Yes.
when the baby is still forming. That's
Yeah.
the only time I would say kind of be aware. But again, you still have the tools, and your body again is not stupid. Like
Right.
that's what I'm trying to say. We learn to think the body doesn't know what it's doing, and we always have to fix it or add it or patch it up
Yeah.
the any side effect. No, that the body is not you is know exactly, and trust me, baby is protected. But yes, you should be careful, you should drink, you should, yeah, keep yourself well hydrated, which
Yeah.
are the important things.
But isn't
Okay.
that, but isn't it sad though, how how fearful people are. And I just look at it as the messaging. The messaging about our bodies is that they weren't made perfect. We have to intervene. Our immune systems don't work, so we need modern medicine. And this dysfunctional relationship with modern medicine is really what I think why people are in fear, and just like with that announcement on with RFK and Tylenol and autism, it's like there's nothing you can do for a fever. Like really, like what did we do even 100 years ago? Like
I know. I
it's like
actually
this
did
is the
recorded the
people's
video
medicine, what we're talking about here. It's the people's, this is what we've always used. It's
for
imagine
centuries. That's
people
what I said, for
imagine how
centuries.
we couldn't survive. How did we even survive without these
Yeah,
needles and these petrochemicals? Like seriously, people.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
know.
I actually recorded the video and said for centuries we've known how to take care of ourselves and to use holistic care, and by using simple methods, and it's been passed to us. Open every book since even 1800s, and even I have a book since I don't know when, and with old testimonials where people would speak, and it was translation. I even don't know the timing of this book. I really have to look and tell you exactly, but irrelevant to this subject right now. But you see how they treat it. They use
Yeah.
herbs, they use honey, they know exactly what to do. They use urine whenever there was a need, and like we are smart people, and the problem that we now been designed to think that we're dumb, we don't know nothing. And I want to bring this back, this
Yes,
attitude that you are so much more capable than you think.
that's right.
Okay, now let's go to our, let's speak about,
Now we'll talk about thyroid.
okay, let's go.
Yeah. So, do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Well, the thyroid, and if people don't know, the thyroid is the gland that sits right here in your throat. It is the gland that kind of controls your metabolism. Um, and inside the thyroid are called parathyroids, and they control the calcium balance in your body. So I've been delving into the thyroid for the last, well, I mean, thyroid is always a thing that as a practitioner we think of,
Yep.
but I've I've always tried to teach myself about the thyroid, and just I go in circles because I couldn't really find a good source of who can just break it down for me. So I bought Dr. Brownstein's book on thyroid
You bought,
iodine.
okay.
And it's like he just breaks it down so simply that it made so much sense to me. And when you start looking at the thyroid, and you start looking at people's health issues, so much stems from low thyroid, and how inept the modern medical model is in regards to treatment of thyroid, and even diagnosing thyroid issues. Many women, some men, get to the point where they basically, their thyroid's junk and they have to remove it, or they kill it with radiation because it's just gone too far, because no one's really looking at the thyroid holistically. There's ways to diagnose a thyroid problem. So most people have low thyroid, and then there's some people that have high thyroid function. That's hypothyroid and hyperthyroid. And I would bet that most people are subclinical hypothyroid. And and sometimes people sway the other way, but in my experience, it's not as many. But I do see a fair amount of people with Graves. It's called Graves' disease. That's
Yep.
hyperthyroid, right? But most people are hypo, and that really is caused by a few different things. But the number one thing, what I am experiencing and what I've read about, the number one reason why people have low thyroid function is because we don't have enough iodine in our diets. And we've been
Yep.
taught that iodine is something we have to fear, and that we have to be careful of, and that we can get too much of. And it's a water soluble vitamin, and every gland in our body uses it. So it would
Yep.
be really hard to OD on it. The precaution I would take is people with a diseased thyroid need to take it gradually and work up to a good dose, especially the people with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune hypothyroid issue, a low thyroid issue that can sometimes be hyper and then go back to hypo. It can sometimes vacillate back and forth. Um, the vast majority of women with low thyroid, well, I forget the statistic, but there's a lot of women with Hashimoto's. And so, and how I've seen it occur, and what the literature says, and what people's other, experiences is like, there's several reasons why people besides low iodine is the first, but pregnancy seems to be a trigger, right? So
Yeah.
pregnancy, your blood volume doubles, so any iodine you might have is very diluted. Stress is a factor, toxins are a factor, parasites can be a factor, and low minerals and low iron. That's like a bulleted list of what we'll see when someone has low thyroid or Hashimoto's. They tend to have low zinc, low magnesium, low iron, selenium, low selenium. They tend to be undermethylators, which I just talked about with the autism link and the detox issues. So people have detox issues, stress, leaky gut. So all this can bring up a perfect storm of low thyroid. And then what are our symptoms? We're tired, we have dry skin, we start losing the hair up here and on the edges of our eyebrows. We might get goiter, we might have like a bump in our throat, and then
Yes.
a goiter can form. That's when your thyroid starts to enlarge because it's trying to keep up with the hormones that your body needs. Um, and so those are the major. It's constipation can be another symptom.
I
You know,
would say almost everything.
it's like these
Almost
symptoms can mirror
all
other
of
things
them.
too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I,
but hypothyroidism and low iodine is associated with high cholesterol and autoimmunities and breast cysts, uterine cysts,
yep.
um, a slew of AFib, even like a slew of things can occur in a low iodine and a low thyroid or hyperthyroid state.
Too
So
much bleeding while
bleeding, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the rundown of thyroid issues. We don't want to get too detailed in that. And I did go over just a little the reasons why that happens. So, low iodine and stress and leaky gut, all those things, which is a majority of Americans.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with you, and we see this almost everyone is deficient, and the problem that we see now is already a children, a
Yeah.
young babies, even the babies that just born, newborns, already have the issue, and then the doctors they basically give them right away a medicine to suppress their thyroid, and I am actually couple times contacted the very good friend of mine. He wrote the book, The Friendly Plan for Vaccines. If you remember, him
Yep.
and Dr.
Dr.
Margolis. So,
Yep. The vaccine friendly plan. Yeah.
yeah,
Dr. Paul
Dr.
Thomas. Yeah.
Thomas, yeah,
Yeah.
and he's such a sweetheart because I had the one case of a child who was born, and like just a month right after they put him on the medicine, and the mom contacted me and she was crying and like, what should we do? And at that time I didn't really work much with the babies, like newborn babies who've been already given suppressant. It's kind of was too much for me, so I contacted him and um, how we can fix it and gradually reduce the child, and then I realized it's also up to the mom, because we can give the tools, but if the mom is in fear, then there's not much we can do. But also I wanted to say that we have already newborns that are suffering from it. So that's why it's important to understand that almost every individual who walks on this earth right now is deficient because of the lack of minerals. So when you spoke about so beautifully and you mentioned minerals, you not only mentioned iodine, but you mentioned a whole bunch of them. And that's exactly the issue is the food that we eat is so deficient in essential minerals, then there is a buildup of there's a lack of those minerals, causing the buildup of side effects, that when the body is working hard, trying to fix itself, trying to restore the damage, but because we're not providing enough nourishment, mineral based nourishment, then we having all these issues. And the thyroid is such a poor, because he tries to organize and set everything in a and kind of put everything in the right place, but he doesn't have the tools, and it's like goes off the rails.
Yeah.
So I would say hypo or lower, it doesn't matter. They both come from the one source, which is
Right.
a lack of minerals.
Yeah.
And I very much been a long time now learning about everyone probably, whoever didn't hear about Dr. Wallach. Dr. Wallach, Joel Wallach, he speaks so much about a mineral deficiency. Now he been doing autopsies on all animals from all around the world. He is the only person who been able to do autopsies on um on um on the diseased people, including all the animals that like from even the marine fish, marine, how we say marine, okay,
Marine.
so yes, marine animals, plus including the monkeys in the zoo, whatever, in
Yeah.
Africa, whenever. And he figured out, he said, the only thing that we are lacking is the minerals.
Mm.
Minerals to blame.
Yep.
And he just then invented one formula which contains all the 90 plus minerals that
Wonderful.
are needed. But he said that all what he's seen it is when we as a humans, we don't know about that, but in a zoo and other places, or even a dog food, contains all minerals that they need. Yes, we can work about from where the meat comes from, but if you look at the animal diet, you'll see they have the A and B and C and this and zinc. So they have all additive minerals, and does not come just out of nowhere. The idea is that once you provide all these minerals, the animal will live longer.
Yes.
And we can say that even now. We can see the cats, if they've been fed a good formula, as well as animals in the zoo. If they provide a proper nourishment, which is combine all these essential minerals, then the animals are happy and healthy.
Yeah.
But why we never address this issue? Um, so I'm very much diving into that, because I figure out just, taking one mineral and adding here, we're not fixing anything. We're just causing a balance. So I figure out if we
Right.
work over the whole entire a panel of essential minerals, then we can fix the problem. So that's what I've learned, and I'm absolutely excited about that, because now we understand we are the only ones who not getting all these minerals, and we actually um, giving our animals
Better.
more nutritional food than we are feeding ourselves.
Yes, and it should be said too that, our soils are depleted because of
Right,
monoculturing and pesticide used and all
right,
that. And so iodine is in the soil, right? Iodine and other minerals are usually found in nature in a complex, but we go to the health food store and they're all broken up into single supplements, and it's like, this is nuts. So I'm always on the lookout for a really good complex. And I think I found it. It's a pure brand and it's a complete mineral complex, it's called. And I'm pretty sure it even has iodine in it, it's wonderful. It doesn't have enough iodine. None of these supplements ever have enough iodine, um,
right,
but it's a great start in getting it at a complex. If you can't get it in your food, which is super hard, um, get it in a supplement. But I also suggest people try to eat foods that are nutrient dense. And one thing, and many people don't like, some people, I mean, I love seaweed, but seaweed is, I consider it, a superfood. Um,
Right.
but it's one of the most complete mineral complexes that you can get. It's great for the gut. It's great for every system of the body, the liver, the kidneys, the detox pathways, and it contains iodine. And every seaweed is different, but when we're talking about minerals and the depletion of minerals in our diets, because of the soil and because of crappy diets, seaweed is a wonderful thing to do. And I often will just put seaweed in, I have a bone soup stock that I put, seaweed is in there as well
Mm-hmm.
as other roots and herbs that are high in minerals. And so you can just make a stock with it. People who don't like seaweed will never even know it's there. I mean, I make this soup stock with the kombu, different types of seaweed, and you'd never know it. You make a chicken noodle soup with it, you're never going to know that it has that seaweed in it, and you're going to get that those complexes and the minerals that come together because you're going to end up chasing your bottles of single minerals down because you need this to assimilate that, and pretty soon you're going to have 12 bottles anyway. So just buy it in a complex or
Right.
get it in nutrient dense food. So iodine is one thing. Seaweed is one way to get iodine if you don't want to supplement it, although there's ways to do that too. So
Right.
to lead off of what you're saying, Hava, our soils are depleted, our diets stink, and I find in my practice, especially, I mean, energetically, we have evidence-based medicine out there. So when I talk energetically, I'm talking about on the Reiki table, which is most of the time dismissed by a lot of a lot of thinking out
Yeah.
there. I don't because I know, like, when I'm doing Reiki on somebody, I'm like, wow, there's so many people that are minerally deficient. It's unbelievable, actually. And I don't know if it's because the diet stink or if it's because the food stinks or if it's, the food is
It's it's all
depleted or not, but
combination.
it's probably a combination of both of them. And the thyroid issues, a lot of people have thyroid. So seaweed.
And I'm good. I would also suggest just for people, they can do their own iodine test to see if they are deficient. And the way I will always describe that is to get the Lugol's iodine and apply on your inner elbow, and you can just draw a square or something and just monitor if it disappears less than 24 hours. And then you're obviously deficient. And in that case, I would suggest taking, well, I don't, me myself, I don't suggest Lugol's iodine because it's too strong for me. So I would go on Nasen iodine or infinite iodine, and that might be
What are
helpful.
those? What are the other ones?
In infinite iodine that I have on my website is the one
Okay.
I bring from Canada, and it's in a spray form, and you spray it inside your mouth, and you don't actually feel it anything because it's like a tasteless. And then other Nasen iodines available on Amazon, and but they do have a strong flavor,
Yeah.
and so
Like
many
Lugol's
people.
has kind of a strong flavor.
Oh yeah, but Nasen is like made with a glyceride kind of base, so
Ah,
they also still have the flavor. Okay, so I would suggest to start taking it, and the way it works that you will have to take a 1 or 2 drops in the beginning, and then slowly increase it, and then work the way up or down.
yeah.
Now, I would also add few other things. um, we speaking about the thyroid, and I would say another very unique thing that I've seen it is that people who have a severe moodiness, including depression, this is a classical, I would say, iodine for me, for in my way, the way I say, it's a classical way of showing that someone is depleted with in iodine if they are depressed.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen cases, and a few of them specifically, or especially one who was actually a guy, and you would say, "Oh, that's not possible." That was the guy, and I asked him to apply on his inner elbow, and in about 10 minutes, it was gone, and he was actually a little bit mentally not healthy. And I'm like, right away, I knew. So if anyone have a problem with someone who is not emotionally stable or have a very severe um, um, uh, ha- ha- um, very severe how again my brain is not
Mental
thinking.
debility?
Yes, I would just say right away that you have to supplement with iodine.
Yeah, that's good
And
advice.
as soon you see, and especially listen, it happens in the teenagers
Yeah,
when they are actually eating the most crappiest food,
yeah.
because now they're like, we are a teenager, they're no longer dependent on the home, or if they're dependent, they maybe come only one in the evening to have a meal. The most time they dependent on the school, whatever it provides, right? And they are eating from donuts, and all this junky food. This is where I have emotional problems, and this is right away will show us that you are the child is deficient. I would say even anything has to do with mental problem, it has to do with the iodine. I mean, I would say this strong statement, and maybe I will reverse it, but for now I would post it
No, I
like I
mean
said.
it seems like thyroid is involved with a lot of different issues that people have. I kind of want to talk about the testing, but you mentioned the spot test with the iodine, and that's a traditional way or one way to see if you're iodine deficient. The other way, which is a little bit more reliable, is to do a urine excretion test if people want to get geeky on the diagnostics. And so, what is the iodine coming out in your urine? If it's super low or non-existent, you are definitely deficient. And you can even start taking iodine, you're taking one drop. And I actually have people take one drop. They're just starting iodine, one drop every week, try to get to 8 drops. I do use Lugol's. I find that it's a good source. That's what Dr. Brownstein suggests. I'm
Yes.
I'm absolutely open to different types too. I'd actually like to try a different type. So we're doing one drop up to 8 drops. It's about 25 milligrams of iodine a day you want to reach at some point. And then when you get to that point, you can do a urine excretion test again to see what's coming out. It takes like 3 to 4 months for your body to take in all the iodine before it starts excreting it. So, you know, because all your glands use it, it takes a while for your glands to take it in. Um,
Right.
but in 3 or 4 months, you can do it again. And if you're excreting a certain amount of iodine, you know that you have enough. So that's one way to test for iodine. But I also want to talk about the diagnostics that people seem to be, I shouldn't say people. Some practitioners are, and I think it's mostly dictated by insurance that doesn't cover the diagnostics that I think are important in order to really nail down what's going on in the body in
Mm-hmm.
regards to thyroid function, because your doctor is typically just going to do a TSH, which the
Right.
TSH is just going to tell you, um, kind of how your thyroid is functioning. So TSH is given off to stimulate your thyroid to create thyroid hormone, which is T4, which is then converted into T3. So if your TSH is high, and the range that they give is between what, zero point 0.5 and 4.25, which is too large of a range. We want it as close to 1 as we can get it. And if you're pushing out 3, 4, 5 for your TSH, your thyroid's working harder to get out that thyroid hormone. So that to me is hypothyroid. If your TSH is tanked and it's way below 1 to non-existent, then you're hyperthyroid, and that's a problem. So you want your TSH from your doctor. You want your T4 level. You want your free T4. You want your free T3. and you want your reverse T3. And then there's two other markers that are often done to see if you have autoimmune issues. That's TPO and TBG. Which brings up another point, if your reverse T3 is high, that could be that basically gloms onto the T3, which is the active hormone, and then the T3 is not going to get into the cells and do its job. So we don't want the reverse T3 to be very high. But the other thing that I didn't mention though too is that some medications can really disrupt how thyroid hormone is taken up by the cells, and that tons of medications can cause a problem. Lithium, birth control pills, and for slightly different reasons. And toxins can too. So there can be issues with converting T4 to T3, and there's issues with the T3 getting into the cell. So when we don't know that with just a TSH. That's why I like to see a full panel so we can kind of see what's going on in the body. And of course, there's limitations to every diagnostic anyway, right? Because we don't know what we don't know. But that's the full panel that I like to see. And I find that insurance does not pay for that. So people are left to have to buy these tests on their own.
Right.
But it is very important to try to advocate for yourself when you're at your doctor's office, and and be adamant when there's the thyroid test comes around, say, I'd really like a full thyroid panel, because I feel like, I'm on this drug. I've been on this drug for 10 years, say. They're on that levothyroxine, that T4 for 10 years. They still feel tired. Their TSH is within normal ranges. But if they still have these symptoms of being tired, fatigued, dry skin, hair loss, there's still a hypothyroid situation going on. And there's probably an issue with converting T4 to T3. So again, which is why that full thyroid panel is so important. And why when I see someone's TSH, closer to the 3, 4, or 5 range, if it's 3 or 4, you're still within normal ranges. So the doctors will just go, okay, you're good, you're fine, your thyroid's fine. Meanwhile, they sleep for 12 hours a night and still feel tired the next day, and they're exhibiting all these other symptoms. So I just wanted to mention that, Hava, because I think it's
No,
really
it's very important. It's very good. You're very good. You explained this amazingly.
oh, well, I've been thinking about it a lot because, I feel like it's like what I say, it's like the cog in the wheel that has been missing in so many people's,
Absolutely.
health diagram.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, um, Also, we struggling when we see people that are overweight. Well, that's another symptom as well, the
Yeah.
body having a hard time.
Yeah.
I'm So what I would suggest, we suggested to taking iodine, we suggested to take a full complex of minerals, not only one kind. Obviously there will be a copper deficiency and many other things. So I would also say that recently, by doing our clapping sessions, I've had the one lady who had the thyroid issues, and she was able to heal herself by doing a clapping and tapping exercise. So I just
Wonderful.
wanted to mention that because we are in the world as self-healing, and we want to promote a self-healing and to be responsible individuals. Yeah, this woman actually shared a wonderful story where she just took her body into her own hands and decide that she no longer wants to depend on medicine. So gradually, by reducing it, she started working on clapping and tapping and doing
Wonderful.
stretching and certain things. And she said, no more thyroid. Now she speaks in a Bulgarian language, but the way she said, no more thyroid. And so no more thyroid issue was, and it just was pleasant surprise to see the people being, would be able to remove this fear, and they say, no, I am responsible for my own health, and I don't want to be dependent. And it's so tricky that we are in such a fear of our own body, and that comes now to the mothers who have children, and then the children are on the medicine and mom's crying because the children are sick. I just had to, like, maybe 2 weeks 3 weeks ago, a mom whose child now been put on the medicine, and I'm like, I was trying to gather information about the mother, why. And then you see the mom is been taking maybe many times already for her um, mastitis. She took 3 or 4 times antibiotics while she was pregnant. She
Oh,
took it, and then she's not sleeping. She's deprived of sleep, and you need to know, if you're deprived of sleep, then adrenals are need more help. They will right away will ask help from your thyroid, and if the thyroid is empty because you don't have enough
right.
minerals, then this is what's causing all this.
Yeah.
It's like the all adds up.
Yeah.
So even if you're not sleeping um, um, at night, right, and you have a newborn baby, then sleep in the middle of the day, or I would say sleep when the baby sleeps, or get some help and take care of yourself in a way that you don't go this rabbit hole, because then providing a medicine, then also your child will suffer, because now you get pregnant one after another, and you didn't fix yourself, and now you have adds on all these issues. So I would say it's very important really to start from the base, eating a correct food, taking a good proper supplements, full dose of minerals. And I would suggest the longevity one, that this is what I'm trying right now. And on my second bottle of longevity, they have all the 90 minerals, which is all base minerals. Now, do I add other stuff on top? Yes, but at least I'm covered. Like,
Yeah.
like in the animal food, we got the base. And then I would suggest, working on your body, clapping, tapping, restoring your microbiome. Now, microbiome is the base to your digestion. If you took antibiotics and you didn't restore your microbiome, then you have already issues.
Right.
Now, you eat a food and it's not been absorbed and digested, because there is nothing to absorb. There is not enough hydrochloric acid to break down the food. And then you also end up by not going to the bathroom. So, more toxins,
Yeah.
loads of more toxins. So, see, it's like really simplified method. Take the base, drink clean water, do not take antibiotics freely. Each antibiotic, if you take, is not that we are against. Some people like, Kava, why you guys not against of the antibiotic? I'm not against it. It can save someone's life,
Of course.
but how often? I usually say once
Let's have
in,
some nuance with that conversation, though. I
exactly,
think a
right?
nuance is lost in our society these days.
Exactly.
It really is. Yeah.
And so only when there is a life-threatening situation you take antibiotics.
Yeah.
And I actually would also blame dentists in that case. They're the ones also who promoting silent epidemic in our times, because I was by the dentist once. I would say maybe a year ago, by one dentist, and he've seen, while I was sitting there, at least 3 or 4 individuals, and all those 3 or 4 individuals have been put on antibiotics. Now we're talking about an adult, and there was like one younger child. So I'm like, okay, so these people, everyone who passed through the door, left with the um, antibiotic prescription. I mean, do you understand what it's going to be? Now,
Right.
this woman will brush her teeth, will take antibiotic, as the doctor said, yes, sir. And then she will never gonna rebuild her microbiome. A food that she will eat will never be absorbed, and here we go. It's like,
Right.
again, everything is crashing, like the foundation is corrupt, like. And that's why I'm like, you have to do this homeworks. You can't just blindly trust
Right.
everything and anything. Be in charge of your own health. I want to share this story. Maybe today we had a wonderful Zoom class with a couple people who brought testimonials, and maybe I want to leave our people with this message. The guy is who was very sick. He was bound to the wheelchair. Okay, 70 years old. Now we're not talking about someone in age 40 or 50. It's a 70-year-old. So basically, 70 years like, what do you expect? And he would couldn't sit. He was just bound to the wheelchair, and one time he even fell down. There was no one to help him, not the chair, and he decided he's no longer wants to be dependent on medicine. He just wants to start with the self-healing, and he started attending the paida and clapping exercise, and then he suddenly disappeared for a couple of years. That's what I've heard from the other guy. But what happened is that he said, okay, I know that there is what people do, the clapping and tapping. I want to implement on my own without anyone else. I want to shut down the voice in my ears and just listen to my body. And guess what? After a couple years, he's been doing this now for 7 years. He's 77 years old, 90% healed. He's no longer need a wheelchair. He
Wow.
can walk. So just this idea of, so he basically never disappeared from doing classes. He just went into his own self and decide to be in charge of his own health. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, once you do that, and if 77-year-old man can do this change, obviously we can do it. Like, we are in our
Absolutely.
40s and 50s, and we have a young children who are at age 3 or 4. Be aware of this and take this as I don't know, as a beautiful story, testimonial, that you can apply this on yourself.
Absolutely. And I have to say, though, it takes a really strong person because even in my little world, trying to take things in your own hands, even the people I know are very fearful of that. If there isn't a doctor on board, what the heck is going on? And it's like we have all been trained, even the most holistic of the holistic have been trained to, this authoritarian type of top-down health. And I mean, I will never stop advocating for people to heal themselves and to, like that wonderful story, listen to your body. It's a whole different way of thinking for people. And of course,
Absolutely.
that's why we do this show for little things at a time. Um, but it's powerful and it's empowering. But it's not for the faint of heart, you know.
Right.
I mean,
And
I just want to.
obviously,
I'm being realistic because obviously we do this show for a reason, and we want people to take charge of their health. Well, it certainly doesn't mean not getting advice from certain health practitioners or whatever, but
no,
really
absolutely.
listen to your body and to really focus on that is so empowering. And what a
Absolutely.
wonderful story that is.
See,
You
the
know,
idea is that what me and you doing is empowering individuals to understand that, yes, there is a medicine, but then there is the herbs, and then there is an inner voice, and be truthful who you are, and look at
mm,
yourself as your unique individual, and you can heal. So we're not saying that, just forget everything and now
yeah,
throw all the medicine in the garbage, but
right.
being honest with yourself, being understanding that you have a thyroid issue. There was a meaning why. There is always a problem, and many times I this is a new thing that I see now. Many people will come and start complaining, oh, my strep, this, thyroid, that, this. And then I say, so are you eating clean? Oh, we are eating very clean, or we're wonderful. We are not doing anything. And then I'm like, but you just texted me that you have an issue. Oh, right. So see, this idea that we no longer correlate the problem to our misbehavior.
Yes,
And
right.
sometimes people say, okay, I'm eating very clean, but what time are you going to sleep? I'm going to sleep very late. Guilty as a charge. But
Yeah.
so at least that,
Yeah.
say something,
So
but
everything
don't
counts.
right. There
Yeah.
is a something, there is a root cause to everything.
Yeah.
And if not, then maybe mental and maybe emotions, maybe you married to someone or somebody is in something, or and this you carry this trauma with you, and then you're trying to fix something over there when the trauma is right in front of your nose, but
Right.
you're not willing to look. So it's like, but I always say, as soon we grow up and we become older, if we train people to get more in contact with themselves, then we have a healthier generation. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all what I'm looking for forward.
Yes. And those are wonderful last words. And I would have to just add that, because we should wrap it up here, but I
Right.
would add that, you know, listening to your body, listening to that inner voice, uh, and and for me, and I've said this before, is about resilience. It's about resiliency and not relying on certain systems that won't serve us. So, and we don't even have to go into too much detail. I think people understand that. It's like, you know, going into that, what I call the basically like a rabbit hole of medicine. If you start on that track, you'll end up on more medications than you want to be on. And that's not resiliency. That's dependency. So resiliency is knowing how to take care of your body, but also, like you mentioned, listening to that inner voice and really tapping into you know, how your body works, knowing how your body works and what it feels like to be healthy. Um,
Absolutely incredible.
it's incredible. Well,
Okay.
this was amazing as always, Hava. I always enjoy this time with you.
I enjoy each time
And
we come up together. I'm very thankful. We miss Nicole,
you miss them.
but thank you so much for everyone who came, who listened. Do we have any questions? Do you see?
Oh,
You see any
oh,
questions?
chat. Oh, I don't know on social media. I can look. No comments yet.
Okay, it's
That's
it's
okay.
okay. It's
But if
amazing.
there's a comment later, I'll check the live feed and or if you whoever gets to it first, it's fine.
Right, right. Okay, amazing.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so
Thank
much. Thank
you.
you for giving your amazing time, Sarah, and always words of wisdom. And I really appreciate and thank
Likewise,
you.
sweetheart.
Okay, bye, everyone.